Hello, I'm the Corruptist, back again with another tier list video. Couple things to note before I begin. I have a brand new mic. Hopefully the audio quality is a lot better, but if not, then that is $100 down the drain. Anyway, today I'm going to make a tier list on all the different skills in Fallout New Vegas. And what I'm going to do is that I'm going to separate the weapon skills, like the combat skills, and separate them from the supportive skills, because I don't think that they should be judged together, right? I think they should be judged based on their own merit. And now, without any further ado, let's get started. First up is energy weapons. I give it A tier. The thing about energy weapons is that they are a very fun part of New Vegas, but I never really feel the need to use them. The Fallout New Vegas is kind of very saturated with regular guns that I don't ever feel the need to specialize in energy weapons, right? Unless I go for like an energy weapons build, I never really feel the need to use them at all in New Vegas. And that's kind of a shame, because they are pretty fun, especially if you have a crit build. They do have some pretty nice perks, like the meltdown perk. That's always fun, blowing up enemies. Never gets old when something blows up. Energy weapons also kind of have this problem for me, that they feel very limited, because it only feels like there's ever two different types of energy weapons, and that's lasers and plasma. And I know that there are like some more, like the alien blaster, and probably some others that I'm not really remembering right now, but it all just kind of makes energy weapons feel limited. And I feel like the biggest weakness of any weapon type is to make it feel limited. But yeah, energy weapons, still pretty good. A tier, they're fun. Next up, explosives. B tier. Explosives, to me, they are very weird. They are the only skill that doesn't really get any benefits from having high luck, and aside from like a skill boost at the start, but you know, that's just whatever. The thing about explosives is they are very weird, right? Early game you only get dynamite, and there's also frag grenades and mines. And there are basically like 3 different explosives types. There's, well, maybe 4, I guess. Thrown explosives, place explosives, shot explosives, and heavy explosives. And maybe, I guess, lobbing explosives, if you want to count the missile launcher and the Fat Man as their own corner. But anyways, explosive weapons, they're very good at DPS, they're very good at long range. However, they're the only weapon that actually hurts you, and that's very disappointing. Lately I've been playing Fallout 3, and they've got even more limited explosives, which makes me appreciate a lot of the weapon choice, a lot of the variety in New Vegas all the more. But the thing about about Fallout 3, what it did is that it often gave you a shit ton of frag mines. And frag mines were very fun weapon, just tossing them into the enemies, tossing them at raiders like hands and then running away. Where oftentimes raiders chase you with their melee weapons, and you just throw a grenade and watch them run directly into it like an idiot. You know, it's very fun. And New Vegas, unfortunately, doesn't really have any frag mines. In fact, I might make a challenge video of, can I beat New Vegas with only frag mines? That'd be fun someday. But yeah. Back to the tier list. Explosives, they don't synergize at all with luck, which is something that every other weapon skill does, which kind of makes it a bit unique. The only other thing that I can really think of is like automatic weapons across like all the other ones, because they also have all low crit chance, but even then you probably still want good luck with them, because you're making a lot of bullets. And so you're going to have lots of chances for crit, more chances to crit, more extra DPS. The only other weapon that comes to mind is two-handed melee weapons, because I know a lot of those have low luck. Like, they have 0 multiplier. They have like a 0% chance to crit, and low crit damage anyway. And that still feels pretty niche, right? It's a part of melee weapon. It's a subcategory of melee weapons, and even then, not even all of them follow that rule. Like the Nuka Breaker, that's a two-handed melee weapon that benefits greatly from luck, and pretty much no explosive does, and that kind of makes them feel a bit at odds. And although New Vegas is totally 100% playable without luck, you really want to play with luck. It's very valuable, even if you don't plan on making a crit build. It's just very valuable for all the free caps that you get out of all the casinos. Anytime that I play New Vegas without any luck, I kind of miss it. It's manageable, but I miss it, you know? Next up, guns. A tier. I love guns. Guns is my favorite category. The thing about guns is that it's just you just have it in abundance. You have all sorts of different variants, you have all sorts of different ammo types. You just have your pick of the litter. You could just pick whatever good weapon that you have and just beat the game with it. And guns has a lot of variety. You need long-range weapon, get a hunting rifle or a sniper rifle. You need high DPS, take a minigun or a automatic rifle. Oh, you need close range capabilities, shotgun. You know, you need an early game dueling weapon, pistol. You know, every single gun has its own unique, different niche, and that's just incredible. I'm very glad that Obsidian decided to fuse big guns and small guns. Otherwise, New Vegas might have feel like very archaic. But yeah, guns in S tier. I love guns. Another advantage that I'll say with guns is that it also synergizes with its own abilities well, right? With energy weapons, with explosives, you kind of need decent agility to make use of them, because if you have low agility, you have a low reload speed. But with guns, your agility already affects your skill in the stat. So, with extra agility into that gun stat, you're already reloading much faster, which is a big bonus. And also AP, VATs and stuff. You go guns, high agility, and that's already building towards a VATs build if you want to do one of those. And still, guns, awesome. There's never a fight that you would not want a gun in. Next up, we have melee weapons. I also put it into A tier. I think that guns overall is the better sort of thing compared to melee weapons, but melee weapons is the guns of the melee weapons, I guess. There's only like 2 melee stats, which is a little bit unfortunate. But anyhow, melee weapons, it's very fun. Melee weapons are just very fun build. You get Super Slam, you get a lot of unarmed skills that synergize very well with it, and you just kind of go to town. Even if you don't take the Piercing Strike perk or the Slayer perk, you still have Super Slam, meaning that you can still knock people out pretty easily in my experience, and that's just incredible. Yeah, melee weapons definitely A tier. If you play New Vegas and you want to use like a lot of weapons, I'd recommend guns and melee, because you just get the widest variety with those two. And melee weapons, it kind of feels like cheating with melee weapons, because there's just a lot of different like categories and subcategories that you can use that's kind of inherent to melee weapons, right? There's one-handed weapons, there's two-handed weapons, there's bladed weapons, there's blunt weapons, there's throwing weapons, there's automatic melee weapons, and it's all just so, even the automatic and throwing weapons, which has the least variety among them, they still all feel so unique to each other. Right? Like the Ripper is an automatic chainsaw knife, but then you have the thermic lance and the chainsaw if you want to feel like Freddy Krueger. It's awesome. But yeah, overall, melee weapons is my other go-to when playing New Vegas. And lastly, we have Unarmed. A tier. It's a bit upsetting that New Vegas is the only time... I think New Vegas might be the only game where Unarmed is viable. I'm not sure about like Fallout 1 or 2, but I imagine that it's not, because I found out recently across Fallout 3 and Fallout 4, and among them, there's only like 5 melee weapons, not including the ones that are shared across the games. And that's very disappointing. I'm very glad that New Vegas has this big variety in them. But even with the big variety of melee unarmed weapons in New Vegas, it still kind of feels like that there's only like 4 different types of unarmed weapons. You have, like, aside from your fists, which is, I guess, would sit dead center, you have stuff. You have like clothes that you put on, like the scientist glove and the boxing gloves and the boxing tape. You know, those are the clothes. You have something strapped onto your arm category, which is like the mantis gauntlet or the bladed gauntlet or the Yaogwai fist, right? And the fist of the North Rar. And then you have the mechanically in like the extra mechanical weapons, like the power fist, the charge fist, the displacer glove, 2-second goodbye, all those weapons, right? And then finally you have the machine hand, the only automatic melee weapon, not melee weapon, the only automatic unarmed weapon, I should say. Yeah, as far as there are in Fallout New Vegas, it's just those 4 weapons, and all you do with them is that you punch people. And I know that punching people is fun, but it kind of gets boring after a while. Every unarmed weapon doesn't feel that different from each other because it's all using the same thing. It all just sort of feels like, oh, I'm punching you fast or I'm punching you slow, you know? I'm punching you hard or I'm punching you soft. The only unarmed weapon that does any deviation away from just the punching is the industrial hand, which is the automatic weapon, and even then, it's only one of those. It's just which kind of just makes it suck. Then there is, I do know about all the different techniques, the unarmed techniques, which does add some much needed variety, but even then, I don't really go for them that often because I'm just kind of lazy. I don't know. Maybe that might be a skill issue on my part. But yeah, this is where I'd put all of the skills in New Vegas. If you disagree, please comment down below. I'd love to hear what you guys have to say. And now moving on to the supportive skills. First up is Barter. Barter, I'm gonna put in C tier. The thing about Barter is that it's a very convenient quality of life skill where you get extra money from vendors and you can also convince some quest givers to give you better rewards. But the thing about Barter is that it's kind of meddling, right? You kind of don't need it. Just with the base weapons and all the mechanics in the game, you get enough money from the vendors anyway, so there's kind of no need to put any investment into this skill. But it is convenient. There are a couple of perks that it works for, and they're nice quality of life, but at the same time they're not necessarily required. But yeah, I'd put Barter into C tier. Next up is Sneak skill. S tier. Sneak is a very fun skill. Not only is it very fun to see the enemy AI just go brain dead after you do something blatantly clear, but you're crouching on the floor so nobody notices you. NPC just wanders around like, what? What happened? Where'd you go? You know, that's always a treat. And it's also just very convenient. With maximum sneak, your pickpocketing is just very, it's just very fun, you know? Being able to pickpocket things out of people is just very convenient. And the only loss that it has is karma. But karma pretty much just doesn't matter in New Vegas. It's just kind of cosmetic, so, you know, be as big of a kleptomaniac as you want. S tier. I'm just kind of a loot goblin, I think, maybe. I mean, I'm not that big of a loot goblin, but I do love me some loot. Next up is Lockpicking. B tier. Lockpicking is 100% a skill that you will miss if you don't put any points into it, but even then, it's just kind of a mild convenience most of the time, unless there's like some specific loot that you're trying to get. Lockpicking is most of the time just not necessary. Medicine. S tier. Medicine is the skill that I always tag at the start of my runs, even if, no matter what, just my dead set go-to. In fact, I'm just gonna adjust medicine into like the top here. you know, these tier lists aren't ordered at all, but, you know, I just wanted to put medicine up here because I just do think that it's that good. It really is that skill. It's always convenient to have extra healing from stim packs. It's always convenient for Rad-X to be more effective. It's always convenient for Rad-Away to be more effective. It's just very, very... You miss out big time if you don't put any investment into it at all. On any time that I play New Vegas without it, I just really feel it. Repair. B tier. I think Repair is more... There are a couple of, like, instances, a couple of checks where you do miss out if you don't have a good repair skill, but most of the time you can kind of just get by with very low on that. It is very convenient to repair up your stats, to repair up your clothes and weapons and stuff, but you kind of don't necessarily need to. You can go to... there are multiple Repair 100 vendors that you can just go to for repairs. And even then, and if you have the caps for it, you don't need this skill. It's very funny. It's very unfortunate that Repair is a skill that you can ignore with money. But, you know, as they say, the rich get rich. Money doesn't buy happiness, but it does buy you a lot of convenience. And Repair is kind of an embodiment of that, I think. It is a bit more important in 3 than it is in New Vegas, which might be a disadvantage depending on who you ask, but Repair definitely a B tier. It is convenient if you do get it. There is the Jury Rigging perk too, which is super helpful, but the game, Fallout New Vegas is 100% playable without it, and sometimes there are some weapons that simply do not get as much benefit out of Jury Rigging. It's very useful for like a melee weapons build, like if you get a super sledge and then you collect a whole bunch of pole keels, you can repair the super sledge with the pole keels and just easily done. But for some weapons, it isn't that useful at all. I think with like miniguns it's completely useless because there's no other minigun like miniguns other than the minigun and the unique variant. Next up is Science. C tier. Science is just kind of a worse version of Lockpick, and I already feel that Lockpick is a completely skippable tier. You will sometimes feel it, but most of the time, I don't really feel that big of a deal if I miss out on Science. It is convenient, it is nice to have, but there's not really that many skill checks where I think that Science is really all that useful. Unless you want to be evil for the Come Fly With Me quest, I guess. But that's about it. Yeah. Speech. A tier. Speech is just better Barter for half of what Barter does. With Speech, you often get the same, if not better, rewards from what you would have done if you got Barter. So, might as well just put all the points... And because Barter is kind of a skill that you can skip out on, just put all those points into Speech. You don't even need high charisma for it, just put your charisma at 1, and then your speech can never go down. It's kind of hilarious. But Speech is still very useful. It does give you a lot of free XP, it does give you extra rewards. If you're playing through New Vegas for the first time, I'd recommend tagging Speech. Charisma 1, but tag Speech. That's a good go-to right there. And also it's very useful if you're doing like a pacifist challenge, I guess. Lastly is the Survival skill. Survival, outside of perks, Survival is just kind of the worst medicine because you can skip out on Survival and not really feel that punished for it, like with Lockpicking or Repair. But I think that Survival has enough benefits that if you do invest in it, it's really worth it. There's a lot of crafting recipes that you get out of Survival. There's also a good amount of perks that are pretty useful with Survival. And there's like the Them's Good Eating, that's a very good perk. And if you don't invest anything in Survival, it's fine. You can't, getting extra healing for temporary invincibility is always good. But if you invest in Survival, that just gets much better. So yeah, I definitely recommend putting points into Survival. And it's kind of when I was playing Fallout 3 for the first time, I found it very jarring that they didn't think to put this in, because it just kind of feels like a natural evolution of the outdoorsmanship skill, which this was based on. But yeah, that's my tier list for the supportive perks in Fallout New Vegas. Feel free to like, subscribe, and comment down below for any videos that you'd like to see, any tier list videos or challenge videos. I am working on a challenge video for Soul Silver, and that's going to be made in a couple of weeks or so. And yeah, feel free to comment what you think about my tier list. Am I a dumbass? Am I a genius? You decide. But yeah, like, subscribe, ring the bell, share with your friends, and until then, I'm the Corruptist, and I'll see y'all next time. Bye.